10 years ago, I wrote this book. ETpedia was this idea I had for a book that would contain everything basically an English language teacher would need. So it was full of tips on theory, ideas for practice, activities, ways of doing everything. And I wanted it all put in one book because I thought, well, teachers are busy and they don't have that much time to read about it. So let's get it all into one title. After we did the original version, we then went on to publish a load more on different topics. And in the videos that come in the next few months, you'll see more about them. But let's think about ETpedia. I'm going to tell you about three things. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite tips in the book, one of my favorite activities, and then I'm going to talk about one of the key features that I really like about the book. So let's start with one of my favorite tips from the book. This comes from a unit on motivation, and it's looking at how we maintain students' level of interest and motivation. So you can see it like a graph like this, and on the left-hand side we've got the level of student interest and participation, and that can rise or fall. And then there's the length of time you spend on an activity. Now, I often picture speaking activities in class like this, so I might give students a speaking task, put them in pairs, and normally the level of interest and participation and talking, it starts quite quietly, and you can see the trend line, it starts to rise. And if you get your speaking activity right, the noise level and the interest level should go up and up and up and up and up right to the top, and then it will naturally fall and go down and go down and down until students are quiet again. But if you're a teacher managing that situation, it's really important to stop the activity before it goes right down. In other words, you don't want to wait until the students are quiet and down here on the graph. You actually want to stop it here at this moment of the activity, because the students have just reached the top of their interest and motivation, and it starts to fall. And if you stop it there, you keep the students interested, and they're disappointed because you've stopped them early, but it means they'll come back. And if you ask them to do the activity again, maybe you give them some feedback after the speaking activity, and then you say, now repeat the pair work, they're more likely to be motivated to do it because they haven't really finished the speaking conversation. Now, if you're interested in knowing more about that activity or some other ways to motivate students, you need to turn to page 44 and 45 in ETpedia. One of my favorite activities that I've always used, and I've always found it works really well, is called creating a mousetrap. And the basic idea is you say to students, you've got a problem, there's a mouse in your office or there's a mouse in your home and you need to get rid of the mouse, okay? But in a nice way. So you brainstorm with the class a list of random objects. You might say, give me the name of something long and thin or something sticky, and they'll say a piece of string, some sellotape, some glue, and give me the name of something round like a car tire. And you're going to need maybe a pulley to move the string up and down. Give me the name of a piece of sporting equipment, a tennis racket. So you could revise vocabulary that you've been teaching recently. Give me the name of a large animal like an elephant, and a couple of other objects. It doesn't matter really. You brainstorm all of these on the board. Then you put the students into groups and you say, now discuss how you're going to turn all those objects into a mousetrap, and I want you to draw a diagram of that mousetrap. Now, this is great language for passives, for describing processes. It's good language for discussion, like making suggestions and brainstorming. And students, particularly who are interested in sort of technical things, I've used this activity with engineers. They really like coming up with crazy ideas. So this is my example, okay? You've got the mouse. The mouse jumps onto the tire, which has got some cheese. The elephant sees the mouse, runs out of the room. The elephant's tail is attached to the pulley, which pulls the string up, which carries the tire and the mouse up, and the tennis racket bats the mouse out of the window. It doesn't have to be great art. It can be as mad as you like, and there may be difficulties with it, and students can ask each other questions, but it's fun to do, and it's great language practice, and it takes no preparation. The third and final thing I want to say about Etpedia is one of my favorite features in the book was that we always wanted to bring in other teachers' ideas. So although the book says it's 1,000 ideas, it also included more than that, really, because we got teachers to give us quotes and suggestions of things or activities, and we always included sort of quotes at the end of a unit. I went back through this Etpedia and I came across a quote from Lottie in India. And this quote comes at the end of the unit on 10 ways to create rapport with your students. And I always like this quote because it made me think of when I was first a teacher 30 years ago, and I walked into the class and I was terrified. And it was my students' first week of term, so they were a bit terrified. And it would have helped if somebody had just given me this quote from Lottie. If you're positive and you're walking smiling, 99% of the time you'll get a similar response. It's such good advice. However frightened you are when you walk in as a young, inexperienced teacher, or even into situations later on when you're presenting at a conference maybe, you have to turn that smile on and think yourself through so you're positive, and you'll find that your group of students or your audience will respond to you in the same way. And in all the other Etpedia books, you'll find similar little tips and ideas and suggestions from other teachers as well as from the authors. Look out for more Etpedia videos coming up in the next few months. We're celebrating 10 years of Etpedias, so you're going to see other authors talking about other Etpedia titles. So we'll see you there.